So, you've got all this footage for your business videos, and you don't know the first thing to do with it all. You've never edited a video before. Does this sound like you? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. In this video, we're gonna go over the whole process from beginning to end. I'll go over how to import your footage, how to cut it, how to fix your audio, and how to export. So, editing frightens you? Then stick around. I think I can help. Editing can seem like a big, scary task. It's a monumental task, and you're not an editor. But people are waiting for this video to drop. It's stressful, I know. I once had a project that I just didn't know the first thing to do with. I went back and forth on how to edit it for days. I wasted so much time just getting going. I realized that if I had a system to help guide me, I could save so much time and money. So, I came up with this system called ICAE. It stands for Import, Cut, Audio, Export. But you're gonna need a few things to get going. First, you need a computer, preferably one that can handle video editing. Next, you'll need an editing software. Any app will do. I use DaVinci Resolve Studio. They have a free version online. I'll link it down below. Go ahead and download that so you can follow along. With everything set, the first thing we need to do is get our footage imported and organized. Most people don't realize the headaches that they can save by properly organizing your media. If all of your media is just sitting in the downloads folder,
you're gonna have a bad time.
I used to have my clips just all over the place. It was a mess. Then I had an old client ask for some unused footage, and I couldn't find it to save my life. I had to change how I was storing everything. Now, I can find any project's footage quickly and easily, saving me time, money, and reputation. To make sure that the import process goes smoothly, you're going to want to set up folders. Setting up a folder structure is tedious, but can't I just throw my files onto my computer and call it a day? Sure, you can, but trust me, this is going to cause problems down the road. I used to just dump everything into my video folder, and it was fine until I had more than one project. And everything got all mixed up together, and I didn't know what file went with what project. Some files got moved around and others got deleted, and my editing program couldn't find them. I wasted so much time to try and find the files again. I had to come up with a system to keep everything together. So, here's what you gotta do. Start with your storage. Figure out where you're going to store your projects. That can be on your computer or an external hard drive. If you store everything on your computer, you're going to need a lot of hard drive space. At least 1 terabyte of storage will get you started. Video files can be large and they add up quickly. I recommend picking up an external hard drive to store all of your finished projects on. I keep everything stored on my Ugreen NAS drive, but that's a bit more advanced. You can pick up a large desktop hard drive for pretty inexpensive. And now that you've got your storage figured out, let's set up your folder structure. Let's start with a folder for all of your projects. In that folder, you want to set up 3 folders. One of them labeled unfinished, one of them labeled active, and one labeled finished. Keep the projects you're working on in the active folder. Projects that are on hold can go in the unfinished folder, and finished projects go in the finished folder. Inside these folders will be your individual projects. Label these starting with the release date, year, month, day, then the project name. This will help keep them all in order. Inside that folder, we have 4 more folders. One for audio, one for finished, one for miscellaneous, and one for video. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the audio folder, we have folders for your music, your sound effects, and your voiceover. In the miscellaneous folder, we've got a graphics folder, an images folder, and a folder for your screenshots. Next up is the video folder. In there, we have a clips folder for all of your video files. We have a download folder for any downloaded videos, such as stock footage. The screen recording folder is for your screen recordings. The last folder that we'll explore is your clips folder. In there, you have an A-roll folder and a B-roll folder. I'm sure you're wondering, wait, what is A-roll and what is B-roll? Isn't footage just footage? Nope. There are 2 different types, and it's important to keep them separate. A-roll is the main story of your video. If you're talking to the camera, that's your A-roll. B-roll is supplemental footage that supports your narrative and helps with the pacing. Make sure you're putting all of your media in its correct place. This is going to be important later. Now that all of your media is organized, let's get it into your editing app. Okay, so let's open up DaVinci Resolve. Down at the bottom, click on the Cut tab. At the top, click on the Import Folder button. Find your folder and click on it. Now, your whole project is imported into DaVinci Resolve. Perfectly organized. With all of your media imported, it's time to start editing. Most people take a look at an editing program and think, what the heck am I doing? When I first started, I did everything wrong and it wasted so much time. But after years of fighting and researching, I've learned some easy tricks to edit quickly and efficiently. I can get my edits done a lot more quickly and seamlessly with my system to edit. We're gonna do a couple of steps here to simplify your life before we put anything into your timeline. First, you wanna sync your footage. You've got your footage. Can't you just throw it in there and everything will work? Unfortunately, no. We've got some processing to do first. First thing you're gonna wanna do is sync up your footage. If you have multiple cameras or you recorded your audio separately, you'll wanna make sure that they are all synced up properly first. So find your clips, select them all, right-click, and click on Create New Multicam Clip. Then select the sound option for syncing. This will create a new multicam clip with all of your video and audio synced up. Easy. If you need to make any adjustments to it, drag it into the timeline, right-click and select Open in Timeline. And now you've got all of your clips lined up in your timeline. Make the adjustments that you need to make. Then when you're all done, double-click on the project in the lower left corner. With everything synced up, let's get to cutting. Starting with cutting your A-roll. Now I can just drop my clip into the timeline and start cutting, right? Oh, not so fast. There's one more trick that we're going to use to speed things up. Unfortunately though, this feature is only available for the studio version. It's called scripting. We click on our clip in the media pool, then click on the little chat box in the upper left-hand corner and wait for it to process, and boom, we have our entire script laid out as it was said. We can remove the blank spots and cut out any parts that we don't want. Once this is edited, select all, Option A on a Mac or Control A on a PC, and select Drop into Timeline. Now, all of your A-roll is cut and placed into our timeline. Easy peasy. But make sure you go back through and double check its work. This feature isn't always perfect. Now, if you don't have the studio version, you'll have to cut it manually. Drop your multicam clip into your timeline, select which clip in the multicam you want as the video and which one you want for the audio. If your video and audio is in one clip, just drop that into the timeline. Hit B to bring up the blade tool. Make your cuts where there's no audio. Then hit T to trim. Click on one side and drag until the audio starts again. Cut out dead spaces, duplicates, or mess ups. Try to have the edit flow as if you're talking naturally. This will take some trial and error, but watch it through a few times and show it to someone else. Sleep on it too. Practice will make perfect. Now we're gonna add our B-roll. But wait, do you really need B-roll? Seems like a lot of extra work for not much return. I used to think the same way. I cut a project for a client and I didn't add any B-roll to it. The video didn't get much traction because it wasn't engaging. I learned that B-roll can help keep your audience's attention. To effectively add your B-roll, follow these steps. First, you want to cut it down. Crop your footage down to just the most engaging parts. Just a few seconds sells the point. B-roll that drags on loses eyes. Now we're going to want to line it up. Put your B-roll where it's the most effective. If you're talking about something that you have B-roll of, use that clip there. It helps paint a picture for your audience. Play around with the placement, and keeping your audio underneath is definitely recommended. With your footage in place, let's fix anything that looks off, starting with color grading. Color grading deserves a whole series of videos unto itself. It's an extremely complex art form. When I first started editing videos, I didn't know the first thing about color grading. I had some wild color grades that didn't hold up very well. I was overcomplicating it. As a business owner, I need to be efficient. Time is money. I didn't need my business videos to look like a Wes Anderson film. I figured out that I just needed to keep things simple. All we really need to do is make sure everything looks uniform. To do that, let's first move over to the color tab at the bottom. So you watched my previous video on how to film, and all of your footage is filmed beautifully, I'm sure. No need to do anything, right? Well, not so fast. I've made the mistake of thinking that out of the camera footage is good to go. I was mistaken. I learned that it's best practice to check each clip. Most cameras' color balance is set to auto. This means it can change with the lighting, or your talking head and your B-roll footage might not match up together. So we need to go through each clip. Adjust the color temperature slider to get the best match that you can. And as always, practice makes perfect. Now we need to adjust our exposure. Did your lighting change while you were recording? Did you have some B-roll that was exposed a little differently? Been there, done that. I've delivered a project where all of the exposures didn't match, and the project didn't perform well because it was jarring. I needed to make sure that the exposure was matched across the board. I figured out that if I made sure that my highlights and my black levels were set, then my exposure was going to be good. To do that, use the slider in the HDR tab here. Adjust the exposure so that the highlights aren't overblown and the shadows aren't clipped. If a clip looks underexposed or overexposed, adjust it. Once your color grading and exposure is set, let's dive into the audio. Your audio is more important than the video. This took me years to realize. I deliver projects that I just didn't put much thought into the audio. They didn't gain any traction because the dialogue was bad, and there wasn't anything else to help keep the audience's attention. To make sure your audio is sounding how it should, you need to do these things. Clean up your voiceover audio. I recorded my audio through a mic. It sounded pretty good when I played it back. Do I need to do anything to it? Yes, I've made that same mistake too. I was about to deliver a project when I watched it back on my TV, and the dialogue was hitting some weird frequencies that didn't sound good at all. I had to make a bunch of changes, and it wasted time. To clean up your dialogue, follow these steps in the Fairlight tab. We'll start with voice isolation. If there are any sounds other than your voice in the audio, use the voice isolation processor. Turn down the knob if you don't need too much isolation. Next, we'll use the dialogue leveler. The dialogue leveler does some extra magic to boost your audio. It'll help reduce loud dialogue, it'll lift soft dialogue, help reduce some of that background noise, and boost your overall dialogue. The last thing you need to do is set the equalizer. Click on the EQ window. To make it simple, DaVinci Resolve has included a bunch of useful EQ presets. In the drop-down menu, click the option that applies best. Don't make too many adjustments without doing any more research into what the EQ does. Just keep it simple. Now let's add some compression. Compression evens everything out. You don't need to get complex with this. Just turn it on and it'll do most of the work for you. Last thing we need to do is level it. Play through your audio and watch the meter. Adjust the level until the loudest parts or the peaks are hitting around the -5 dB range. Now that your dialogue is set, let's add some music. But won't music distract people from what I'm talking about? It seems like it won't really help my video. Well, being a musician, I disagree. Music is an enhancer, especially when picked out properly and mixed in properly. To add music effectively, you're gonna wanna do these things. First, find the music that matches your vibe, but make sure that it's royalty-free. Otherwise, your video can be flagged or removed. There are a ton of great royalty-free music sites. I use Epidemic. YouTube also has a royalty-free music feature, but I haven't tested it out yet. Find your music and drop it in. Try and stay away from anything that's too distracting though. Once your music is placed, it needs some processing. Let's start by leveling it. The music is good and it matches my vibe, but it's really loud and I can't hear what I'm saying. Yep, that's right. You need to reduce the volume of your music. In the Fairlight tab, find the track that the music is on. Take the volume knob and bring it down between -20 dB and -25 dB. It's gonna take some playing around with to sound right. Just try to get it at a level where you can hear the dialogue clearly. We'll do some final adjustments later, but first we need to add an equalizer. But wait, the music I picked is professionally produced. It should be ready to go, right? Well, not quite. I thought so too. I didn't adjust the EQ of the music in my first couple of videos, and they sound off. All right, today we're talking about what is in my camera bag. Produced music is meant to be listened to all by itself, not in combination with dialogue. Music usually hits on frequencies that conflict with someone talking. I learned this the hard way. So I built out an EQ preset to let my dialogue shine through. Here are the settings. Go ahead and copy these into your equalizer settings. Once you've got them all set, save this as a preset for easier setup in the future. Now that we've got our EQ set, the music and the audio are still clashing a bit. There's one last thing that we need to do to create a pocket for the audio. We need to do a stereo separation. What is a pocket for the audio? Good question. Your audio is being processed in stereo, most likely. That means there's a left side and a right side. And this is because we have, well, two ears to hear things with. Stereo or surround sound audio engages your senses more. You can hear things like moving around you, but Your dialogue is most likely recorded in mono. That means it's only one channel of sound right in the center of your stereo mix. And your music is most likely going to be mixed in stereo. That means it spreads across both channels. And this doesn't give much room for your dialogue to breathe. And we want our dialogue, or the main subject of the video, to breathe. So, how do we do that?
It's gonna be super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Oh, really?
In the Fairlight tab, find the music track. Click on the plus button up here on the right-hand side. Scroll down to where it says Spatial, and click on Stereo Width. This will bring up a pop-up menu. In the drop-down menu in the upper left, select the max separation option. This will spread the music out to the sides only, leaving the center open for your mono dialogue. Easy peasy. Now that your music is set, let's spice things up a little bit. We'll do this by adding some sound effects. So you've got your edit together, and the music is slapping. The dialogue sounds good, but it's missing a certain je ne sais quoi. So let's add some sound effects. If you have any transitions, epic B-roll, or graphics, adding some sound effects can be that extra little flavor profile to make the video sing. To add sound effects effectively, follow these steps. You want to make sure it enhances and not detracts. Does it match the vibe? Or is it going to pull the audience out? These are important questions. The right sound can enhance a video, while the wrong sound can detract. But you just have to play around with it. You can get great sound effects from Epidemic. Sponsor me. Now we need to level it. I've got the right sound, can't I just throw it on my timeline? It's professionally recorded. It should be fine. If you're lucky, yes. But it's just like music, it needs to be mixed in. You likely don't have to add an EQ or stereo separation for your sound effects, but it does need to be brought down in the mix. A sound effect that's too loud can detract instead of enhance. Just go into the Fairlight tab and reduce the volume of the track that it's on. Make sure the peak of the sound is between -10 dB and -20 dB. This will make sure that your sound effect doesn't drown out your dialogue. Now let's do the final mixing. You're probably thinking, well, isn't everything already set? What other mixing is there? Good question. Not all music or dialogue is created equally, and things change as you adjust them. Adding the EQ to the music might have changed how the track sounds. Or the first music clip that you got is a lot louder than the second music clip. That's why it's important to do a final check of your entire mix. Play through and check the levels throughout your entire video, and make adjustments as needed. This will take a lot of trial and error. But with practice comes experience. With the last piece of the puzzle set, we can finally export our video. If you don't get your export settings right,
You're gonna have a bad time.
one time I exported a project at the wrong bitrate and then delivered it. The video was pixelated and gross. It looked fine on my small screen, but the TV said differently. So I exported the video at the maximum resolution possible. Go big or go home, right? Wrong. The file was so large that the client couldn't download it or use it. The pendulum swung hard in the other direction. To make sure all of my videos look good, not pixelated, and don't take up all of my hard drive space, I have a system for exporting. To export your video, you're going to want to do these things. First, get your settings right. But wait, aren't the automatic settings good enough? They've got this dialed in, right? Well, not quite. The automatic settings are generally for the best quality. I did not do the research on this. Gerald Undone did a fantastic job of breaking this all down. I'll link his video below if you want the detailed explanation. For the TLDR, here are the settings you want in the Export tab. MP4 is the container of the video file. It puts the .mp4 at the end of your file name. This is one of the most universal types of video. They can be played by your computer or your phone or your TV. It makes sense to stick with a format that everything accepts. H.264 refers to the compression type, which means how am I fitting all of this data into a small package that's not going to compromise on quality? It's a universally accepted compression standard. H.265 is out and it's better at compressing and keeping the quality, but it's not universally accepted yet. So if you want your video to work, use H.264. The bitrate is the real determining factor in a file's size. MP4 is the file type, H.264 is the compression type, and the bitrate is how much data we're going to fit into that compression type. The higher the bitrate, the more information is put into each frame. However, YouTube does its own compression. This can cause the quality of your video to go down even further. Putting your bitrate at a constant of 45,000 megabits per second is the Goldilocks zone. Just enough quality to look good, and not too much to make the files huge. And again, thanks to Gerald for doing all the research. Now that all of your settings are dialed in, let's export the file. My file's exported. I'm good, right? You're so close. If you don't save your final project in the correct place, you might lose it. After all of this, we don't want that beautiful video to disappear on us. Drop it into your finished folder in your project folder, and you're good to go. Editing used to be so hard, but now you've got a whole system to keep you on track. To recap, we start with importing, which is getting your folder structure set up and getting it all into our editing application. Then we cut our footage, starting with A-roll, then adding your B-roll, and finishing it off with some light color grading. Next, we enhance our audio by cleaning up our voiceover, adding some music, adding some sound effects, and then mixing it all together. Lastly, we exported our video properly in an MP4 format, H.264 compression type, and 45,000 megabits per second bitrate. The only thing that's left is posting. So, subscribe to catch my next video on how I post. It'll be thrilling.
From a certain point of view.
Bingo bango.